Mr. Chairman, I'd like to present an ordinance amending Chapter 2, Article 3 of the Code of Rockdale County. So as to amend the reporting structure for the position of Chief of Staff, and it would actually be returning the Chief of Staff to reporting to all three commissioners. And this is a first reading, and I'd like to waive the second reading.
Mr. Chairman, Madam Clerk, if you could advise, I'd like to, if we can go into an executive session on this matter. I'm not really abreast as to the direction of this particular ordinance. At this time, I'm not saying whether I'm in agreement with it or opposing it, but I'd like to get a little bit more information if we can move into executive session at this time.
Yes, you can. Just need to get a second for personnel.
Yes.
I'll second that. Is that a motion? Okay, I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Ladies and gentlemen, if you'll bear with us for a few minutes, we're going to go into executive session. So we're going to just not adjourn this meeting, but we're going to just move back. We'll be back very shortly. Thank you very much. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience. I'd like to recall this meeting back to order. Dealing with item number 43, the ordinance of amending Chapter 2, Article 3 of the Code of Rockdale County, Georgia, so as to amend the reporting structure of the position of the Chief of Staff and for other purposes. First reading. And Commissioner Van-Ness has on the table to amend the ordinance and amend the second reading. Waive the first reading and waive the second reading. Is that correct?
That's correct. Mr. Chairman, I'd actually like to delete that and restate my motion. That I'd like to move to approve the first reading of the ordinance as presented.
I second that motion, and I'd like to ask that the ordinance itself be read.
Okay.
Would you like me to read it?
It'd be perfect.
Okay. In its entirety or the heading?
Go ahead for the record, if you would, Madam Clerk, and read it in its entirety, please.
Okay. An ordinance amending Chapter 2, Article 3 of the Code of Rockdale County, Georgia, so as to amend the reporting structure of the position of the Chief of Staff and for other purposes. Whereas, pursuant to Section 2-69, Part 1 of the Code of Rockdale County, Georgia, the Board of Commissioners has the authority to appoint officers and employees, and Chapter 2, Article 3 of the Code of Rockdale County, Georgia provides for the administration of county government and officers and employees of the Rockdale County Board of Commissioners. And whereas, following a review of those regulations, the Board of Commissioners finds that the following amendments are appropriate in order to advance the proper and efficient administration of county government for the benefit of public which it serves. Now therefore be it ordained by the Board of Commissioners of Rockdale County, Georgia, and it is hereby ordained by the authority of same as follows. Section 1. That Section 61 of Chapter 2 to the Code of Rockdale County, Georgia, entitled Chief of Staff, is deleted in its entirety, and a new Section 2-61 is hereby adopted in lieu thereof. Said section shall read in full as follows. Section 2-61, Chief of Staff. A. There is created the position of Chief of Staff. The Chief of Staff shall be responsible for internal and external communications aimed at achieving the objectives of the chairperson of the Board of Commissioners. The Chief of Staff shall, subject to the direction of the Board of Commissioners, coordinate departmental functions involved in implementing initiatives and special projects, and in such capacity shall 1. Serve as a liaison between members of the Board of Commissioners. 2. Facilitate internal communications between department directors and throughout all levels of the organization to focus on department efforts on overall goals and objectives of the Board of Commissioners. 3. Assist the Board of Commissioners with strategic planning and assist with outlining and communicating the Board's priorities. 4. Monitor and evaluate progress towards goals and objectives of the administration and for the administration. Provide members of the Board of Commissioners with information on status of county initiatives and projects. 5. Represent the Board of Commissioners in relationships with various civic or governmental organizations, task forces, boards, and commissions. 6. Serve as the designee of the chairperson during his absence. 7. At the request of a member of the Board of Commissioners, conduct research, provide information, and facilitate communication concerning matters of concern and interest of the members of the Board of Commissioners. Section B. The Chief of Staff shall be appointed by the Board of Commissioners and shall be directly responsible to them. The Chief of Staff's compensation shall be fixed by the Board of Commissioners. The Board of Commissioners shall have the exclusive authority to remove the Chief of Staff. Section 2, all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict with this ordinance are hereby repealed. Section 3, this ordinance shall become effective upon adoption.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. One of the reasons I wanted to ask the clerk to read that, I think as often as I've sat here and I've talked about being fair and equal for the community and the citizens of our local community, as well as the employees of all of our government, certainly that includes the Board of Commissioners. We have to make sure that when we're making decisions that they are also fair and equal within the ranks of the Board of Commissioners. When you talk about moving this community forward, growing this community forward, not just today, but in the days ahead, we have to have a balanced government that represents all of the people, both the external part of this government as well as the internal part of this government. That being said, I appreciate the clerk reading it. I'm ready to move forward on this particular decision at this time.
Have a motion on the floor. And there's a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? Aye. Aye is carried. Thank you. Public comments, please. Mr. Rutherford, would you please read?